of public transport. Thank you.
Thanks. The first question, which was from the gentleman who recently graduated from Cornell 3 years ago. He asked if we had full power to decide tonight what would the price of oil be. Question is flawed because you'll never have full power to decide, because the price of fuel, petrol, is decided by the price of the international price of oil. Now, whether the question is what sort of mechanism would you put in place tonight, then my answer would be you still have to leave a little bit of subsidy because the signaling has not started for the public yet. But I would do exactly what the Malaysian national government has announced last week, which is to peg it every month to make sure that it's at least marked to market. I.e., if the price of oil goes down, Western Texas Intermediate goes down to 110, 115, that means a commensurate decline has to happen to the pump price of petrol in Malaysia. But at the same time, you have to maintain that promise of minimum 30 cents per litre. And then if you want to try and get rid of that so that you mark to market completely, then you have to give some sort of signaling. Not overnight, you have to say, okay, in a couple of months or in 1 year, we are going to go to mark to market, which basically means that you're going to mark the price of petrol to the international price of oil. Secondly, the question, sorry I didn't get the name, are Malaysians spoiled, not productive enough? The point about wages is very true. We've seen inflation creep up over the years, and today it's reached 7% plus, 7% plus, 7.6% CPI. But wages have not kept pace with inflation. And this is a very real point. So on the one hand, you say that wages hasn't kept pace with inflation, but on the other side is that wages must keep pace with productivity. If wages do not keep up with productivity, then you get a situation where you create artificial inflation. Basically, you're not producing enough to justify the increase in wages. That's why we need a wage council, we need a price council, the government has instituted a wage council to make sure that we can at least market against inflation. That brings me to another point, which is the CPI itself. Some people have a problem with the CPI, Consumer Price Index, in the sense that Tony obviously has a problem because he's looking at me, in the sense that it doesn't reflect the ordinary person's expenditure. For instance, household expenditure, more people go out to eat today, but the CPI, the basket of goods in the CPI is heavily weighted towards raw food items used for home cooking. So that's something you have to adjust. So it's a lot of structural adjustments. Isaac just now raised the issue of, I think the only one relevant to me is about the claims made by Mr. Anwar that he's going to reduce the price of petrol. We've spoken about it in the debate earlier. The only thing that I just wanted to add is I just saw on YouTube a video of Anwar addressing Bagai Dato', I think a few nights ago, if I'm not mistaken, he used the same line. And the line was, when I was finance minister for 8 years, I never raised the price of petrol. Gentlemen and ladies, when Anwar was the finance minister for 8 years, the international price of oil never exceeded $28 per barrel. Even a school child can keep petrol prices low. I thought he just used that gambit before the elections, and then I wrote about it, and then he's still using it to the kampung people. Ingat orang kampung bodoh. I don't think so. So, I mean, at the same time, of course, we want to take populist measures, but we cannot mislead the public into something that is a gross misrepresentation of international economics, of macroeconomic facts. Thank you.
I'll take very long on the points with regards to the wage must be linked to productivity. And I can only say, and I'll repeat, and I can't repeat often enough, and being an education blogger myself, productivity is linked to human capital, which is based on our education system. And as long as there are no drastic reforms to our education system that focuses more on quality over quantity, as well as other non-quality related concerns, then we will forever have a low productivity issue, which results in low wages. To be frank, when I first started working, and that makes me not young anymore sitting here, I think I've got more white hairs than all of you combined. When I started work, that was 94. Started work in 94. My starting pay was 1,008. Today, the starting pay is the same. 1,008, 2,000. That is just about the same. While inflation has obviously crept up over all these, how many years now? 94 to now, 14 years. So what is happening? I know for a fact that my friends who are lawyers, say in Singapore again, started work 2000. back when I started. And today, Singapore's lawyers' pay, starting pay is about 3,500. So what has happened to Malaysia? Why is it that our productivity hasn't gone up? And foreign labour in this case isn't an excuse, because there's no foreign labour in the legal service yet. We don't know about that in the future, but at this point in time, there's no foreign labour in the legal service. So there is a major problem of productivity in this country, and it is linked inextricably to human capital. And that aspect, while I must give credit to the government for giving emphasis on human capital in the 9 Malaysian plan as well as the budget, but implementation is just completely absent. So, 50 cents, is it achievable? Okay, achievable is a different issue of whether should go down or different. So I would just like to distinguish that. Achievable, absolutely. Absolutely achievable, even if the government continue to maintain the petrol pump prices at the original rates. Let's not talk about 50 cents. Talk about the original rates. Absolutely achievable. Okay? Citibank made an analysis. For every US dollar increase in international fuel prices, the government's net revenue, net of all subsidies, increases by approximately 150 to 200 million a year, US dollars. The second finance minister himself, before elections, made an even bigger claim. He said that with every US dollar increase in petrol prices, the net result intake into the government coffers, net of subsidies, is 250 million. So definitely the subsidies can continue. But whether it should continue in its current form is another matter altogether. And in my belief, okay, set it to market rates for all you want. But all the savings from these subsidies must be channeled to the people who needs them directly. The best mechanism to use in Malaysia at this point in time, that is tiered according to their wages, okay, is the EPF. Information is directly there about how much they are earning. If they are earning 3,000 and below, give them a subsidy grant of 1,000 a year. If their income is below 1,000, give them a subsidy grant of 3,000 a year. And it all can be worked out, and all is affordable by this government. Then we encourage them to sign up. And as for the corruption, as for whether if we come to power, there will be no corruption. Okay. Let me just don't even talk about corruption, don't even go to that extent. You can look at the difference when we talk about benefiting personally. I think when we deal with corruption, it's talking about personal interest. Now, even legal aspects, you can look at personal interest. We have seen in the newspapers these few days, Mercedes in Terengganu. Why did they buy Mercedes? To cut costs. Seriously. Whereas in the Pakatan government and in Penang, one of the first things that we did, there was a car ordered even by the previous government before they were re-elected, already ordered.